Now, it is their first, could well be their last as well. And whatever the outcome, it could be crucial to this November's US presidential election. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump set to clash in the potentially game-changing debate later today. The stakes could hardly be higher for both the Democratic vice president and Republican former president, as tens of millions of American voters are set to tune in to see them finally face off. A single zinger or a single gaffe could well tip the balance. Well, let's hear first of all from some voters.
As far as the election goes, there's no question in my mind that myself and my wife will be voting for Kamala Harris. The opponent, Mr. Trump, is bad news for this country, I think.
Trump is Trump, so I like him because he's very outspoken, so we know what to expect from Trump. And it's definitely more or less the wallet part of things. I need lower taxes.
Well, me and probably about 80% of my friends and acquaintances are going to be voting for Harris. But honestly, for Pennsylvania, I'm not entirely sure, but my gut tells me it's going Pittsburgh and Philly for Harris. Everywhere else is probably going to fall Trump, which is typical.
Well, earlier we spoke to correspondent David Smith in Washington.
It could well be for both candidates, really, an absolutely crucial moment, and perhaps more for Kamala Harris because she's still an unknown quantity to many American voters. This has all happened at breakneck speed, much faster than a normal American election. She's only been a presumptive nominee or nominee for a couple of months, and you hear from voters that they still don't know that much about her, and certainly don't know much about her policies. As is always the case, a vice president does tend to be somewhat in the shadows and not be followed closely by the national media or by voters. So far, she's only done one national TV interview since becoming the official nominee. That was on CNN a couple of weeks ago. She acquitted herself well, but it wasn't particularly long or detailed on policy. So this will be her biggest and best opportunity to really define herself for the American public and hope to define herself before the Trump campaign does it from their side of things. And she'll be able to explain about her life and career and how it informs what kind of commander-in-chief she would be. But for Donald Trump also, he is now the most experienced presidential debater in general elections in history. This will be his seventh. He'll also be closely watched for, how does he conduct himself? Can he stay disciplined?
David Smith, and we will, of course, show that debate for you tonight here on France 24.